No, I don't see it, and my feeling on this one is I do not want them to. I told this on our pre-call yesterday when we didn't really do the show together, but you and I did get on for a second and talk about this. I don't think that this team warrants making any moves at this point that are going to significantly upgrade them. And the reason why is because the cost is going to be prohibitive. I don't think you want to give up Jones. I don't think you want to give up Lombard. I don't think you want to give up, Schlittler. I don't think you want to give these guys up that may have some potential. They don't want to. Who's that kid in the minor leagues they think is going to be a sure thing? They don't want to give him up. They're just. It's at this point nothing they do is going to unless it is
right.
Amazing. They get 3 arms. They get 3 pitching. They get 3 guys in the bullpen. They get a starter. And I don't think they need to do anything else with the offense.
Yeah, that's the whole thing. Is by the way, the guy you're talking about is Manny Cedeno. He's the 16-year-old that they signed.
No,
Cuba.
that's it. But I don't mean him. There's a couple pictures they really like.
Well, there's a couple of pitchers they really like. I mean, they've got Lagrange that they love.
Lagrange, that's it.
They've got Ben Hess that they love, who's just coming back from Tommy John surgery. They've got Chase Hampton, who's out with Tommy John surgery, and they've got Selvage, who they really like as well. Who is, Griffin Herring is ranked higher than Hampton and Selvage right now, and Lane is the other guy they like. He's their 14th.
But they don't want to give these guys. I don't want them giving these guys up for an expensive reboot for the seat for a rental.
You can't give up those. You can't give up those guys. No, I wouldn't give up the guys. I don't give up any of these guys for rental. I wouldn't even give up Rice for a rental. And I'm a guy that thinks that Rice should be dealt, but I wouldn't give him up for a rental. I wouldn't give up Dominguez for a rental. I wouldn't give up Lombard for a rental. I wouldn't give up Jones for a rental. I wouldn't give Volpe for a rental either, but he's not even close to being traded. And then as far as the pitchers go, I would make sure they keep out of these 6 guys that we're talking about, which is Lagrange, Schlittler, Bryce Cunningham, Ben Hess, Chase Hampton, and Selvage, who are their top 6, and Lane, who are their top 7 guys. I would not give up I would definitely keep 5 of those guys before I would give up. I could give up a couple of them for a rental if it's the right rental. Now, speaking of relief pitching, the Mets made a great deal today. The deal the Yankees now maybe Baltimore wouldn't deal with the Yankees, but the Mets gave up 2 non-top 30 prospects.
And got freaking Cano.
Got Greg Soto from the Orioles, who's a high strikeout guy. Experienced.
No, they got Cano. Wasn't it Cano?
No, they got Soto.
Oh, I thought they got Cano.
No, they got Soto.
All right.
So, and that's a great pickup.
Do they have 2 Sotos now? What the hell is that?
They do have. I guess they do have 2 Sotos now. But they got Greg Soto, who's would have been a left-handed reliever who's experienced in the playoffs with the Phillies. He's experienced in the playoffs, last year with the Orioles. He's a good pitcher, and he's a rental. And they didn't give up anything of meaning. They gave up a single-A pitcher and a double-A pitcher who were not even in their top 30 prospects. That's the type of deal the Yankees need to be making. Now they gave up their 8 and their 21 for a non-rental. But if you go through, the bullpen market is always competitive because you got 22 teams within 5.5 games of the playoffs. The big high-end bullpen needs are with the Phillies, the Mets, the Dodgers, the Tigers, and the Brewers, and the Yankees. Those teams all have bullpen needs, and every team would take another bullpen arm regardless, right? There's not a team that wouldn't take another bullpen arm just for shits and giggles. So who's out there, right? Soto was a nice pickup. Cleveland's got 2 guys that are likely not going to be traded that are non-rentals, Clase and Smith. Both of them may be available. If they are available, then the Yankees can give up. I would even consider giving up Jones if you can get a Clase because he's just the best closer, right? He's also signed for $10 million for 6.4 for 26. It's $10 million for 27 and $10 million for 28. I mean, you get the guy for 3 seasons and another playoff run. That would be a guy that you could pick up. Other guys that are out there, Minnesota's got Jax and Duran that are out there that could be available if Minnesota decides to sell. Pittsburgh's got Bednar, who was a stud closer, and Santana, who the Yankees shouldn't touch with a 10-foot pole. The Cardinals have Helsley, who's a rental. Kyle Finnegan's with the Nationals, who's a rental. You want no part of him because he's got a high whip. Rockies have Bird and Halverson, who are having great seasons. They scare the crap out of you. The Marlins, who are red hot, have not only some starters that they might want to deal with, but they got Bender and Henriquez. The A's have Miller that are potentially available. They will still have Batista, Kittredge, Sir Anthony Dominguez, and Cano if they want to make a deal. The Angels have Kenley Jansen, who the Yankees shouldn't touch. Brock Burke, who's having a good year as a lefty, but whatever. And Reed Detmers. There's a lot of guys that are out there, but there's a lot of people who need players. So what the Yankees need to do is just figure out, do they want to get a rental, 2 bullpen pieces or not? Because as I said yesterday, I'm not a fan of Ian Hamilton as a guy that should be in high leverage situations like the 8th inning in the 6-5 game. I also think that, he's a guy that you want to bring in when your starter's struggling and it's like 5-3 in the 4th. He can give you an inning or 2 and maybe keep you in the game. Mark Leiter's too up and down, even though he could be a good 6th inning guy if he's on. They missed Fernando Cruz. Obviously, Weaver has not had the season they want, and Williams has not had the season they want either, but those are their 8th and 9th inning guys. So they definitely need, from my perspective, at least two high leverage, late in the game type arms. The question is, what are they going to give up, and who's going to get them? I mean, you don't want a guy like Raisel Iglesias from the Braves. He's shot. He's past his prime. Certainly don't want Kenley Jansen, right? You don't want Rafael Montero. He's another nondescript righty. Greg Soto was the guy that you really could have eyed. You don't want Jalen Beeks unless you want to go through a whole trading places thing with him. A guy that's interesting is Danny Columbine from the Minnesota Twins. He's a lefty. He's got a high K rate, a low strikeout, a low walk rate, but he doesn't have much postseason experience. He's a rental, so he might not cost that much. That would be an interesting guy to have. Phil Matone, who stunk last year for the Mets in the bullpen in the playoffs. He's a righty. He's in St. Louis having a good year. He was good on the Astros in 21 and 23 against the Yankees. And then Helsley, who's also a rental, who's red hot right now for the Cardinals. And he probably will cost, even though he's a rental, more than Soto cost the Mets. And those are the types of guys that they need to go after.
All right.
So that's, that's
so we will see. We've got how much time until the end? Until we've got
August 1st.
6 days.
August 1st is the deadline, I believe, this year. For some reason, it's not July 31st. It's August 1st at 6 o'clock Eastern, which is an honor to have it. So that means
the Yankees got busy today, so we'll see what happens. But I think that they have a lot of work to do.
They need to get, just so you know, as far as the starter goes, you don't give up any. I mean, unless you're going to get a Cabrera, I don't think they should go for Alcantara because he's not having a good year and it's not worth it at this point to give up something because you're going to have to give up significant prospects. If you can get Cabrera, you might want to give up one of the untouchables like a Rice or even a Lombard if you had to. But, you don't want to give up too much, even though those two guys are signed for 2 years plus. But if you're going to get a starter, you want a guy who's going to slot in and pitch in the playoffs, even if he's a rental. Lugo would be your number 3 starter right now. He's a potential guy that would do it, assuming Heel doesn't come back. That would be not a bad guy to get, and he's a rental. There's a couple of other rentals, but we could talk about that as another time. But as far as the starter goes, they shouldn't be giving up anything major if it's a rental, just like they shouldn't be giving up anything major for a rental reliever. But if there's a long-term contract that they're going to take on their own, then they could give up some of these guys. But I wouldn't give up anything special, but they're clearly not going to change the way that their offense is built, as evidenced by the fact that they signed or they traded for McMahon, who signed for another 2 seasons, unless they have every intention of trading him in the offseason, which, knowing the Yankees, they don't.
Well, I'm interested to see what some of our colleagues in the blogosphere feel about what this is, about this move. I think people will say many of the same things. Lots of good things about this guy. On for a short term, not so good on a long term, and some weaknesses that only add to the weaknesses they already had. I would have loved to see a fast guy with a good glove who doesn't hit home runs necessarily, gets on base. I would have loved the Yankees to trade for Caleb Durbin again, bring him back. That would have been the deal that would have made me so happy. They're never going to.
The Brewers are in the market for a third baseman, so.
But because they're moving, they're gonna move him to second. They know he's a second baseman.
Well, they've got a second baseman, but they have a second baseman they like already too.
They're gonna move him. They love this. They love Durbin.
Well, he's the type of guy that they build their offense around. I mean, you got a guy,
and that's it. They see him as a leadoff man at 300. He's basically going to be Quan in the infield, and that's what they love.
Christian Yelich steals 25 bases for the Brewers last year, and he had a bad back for what 5-6 years, and he came back and stole 25 bases last year.
Yeah.
And bottom line is the Brewers play a different type of baseball, which keeps them in the game. High contact, high on base, taking the extra base, and fundamentally sound defense.
Yeah, it's known as baseball. The Yankees don't. It's like, wait for Judge. Judge is going to be up in 9 batters.
It's not just Judge. It's not just Judge. They're waiting for all of them. I mean, another guy that's a free agent after the season who the Yankees wouldn't take is Schwarber.
Mm-hmm. No, they don't like him.
Yeah, but he's
my friend.
He's better. He's a high on base, high home run guy.
I've got to run.
All right, I will speak to you this week. We'll figure out what we're going to talk about. Maybe the Yanks will make a deal. We'll see if Monty Hall's in play. Take it easy, big guy.
All right. Be well, my friends. Take care.